All right, hello everyone. This is Mr. Lozano, here to go over a little bit of the math that we've been doing here in room 403. It's about multiplicative, comparison. So last year, third grade, students got introduced to multiplication, writing an equation, making equal groups, arrays. But this time in fourth grade, we're going to kind of pass that knowledge along to one of our standards, which is using a comparison to, sorry about the bell here, to kind of compare numbers and try to show how many we have compared to another number. We're off to a noisy start here. But as I said, it's to compare how many someone else has compared to what we start out with. So, for example, I have 3 erasers here, and so I want to find out 4 times as many as the number 3. So let's just put my name here. And so since I have 3 erasers here, and I'm going to make what we call a tape diagram or a bar model to show that the amount of erasers I have is 3. Now, let's say someone else, let's say the stormtrooper here, has 4 times as many as Mr. Lozano. Maybe he wants to erase all those rebels. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, 4 times as many as 3 is, so for our stormtrooper here, he is going to have 4 times as many as 3 erasers. Now, since I have 3 erasers, what we're going to have to do is he's going to repeat on his bar model the 3 4 times. So what I want to do is draw 3 boxes here, or I'm sorry, 4 boxes, and each is going to have 3. So this model will show that in comparison, our stormtrooper here has 4 times as many as the erasers I have, which is 3. And so the way we can compute this, of course, you can make a multiplication equation such as what we've learned from 3rd grade. Since it is 4 times as many as 3, we're going to do 4 and our multiplication symbol times 3, and we can compute that is 12. So we can see that 4 times as many as 3 is going to be 12. So if the stormtrooper takes my 3 erasers, and he's going to have 4 times as many. So here's a group of 3, another group of 3. So far 2 groups of 3. There's our 3rd group, and here is our 4th group. So, Mr. Stormtrooper, you have a lot more than me, so 4 times as many as 3 means our Stormtrooper is going to have these 4 groups of 3, that is the amount of erasers he has, compared to my 3 erasers. So, looks like the dark side, if we're comparing how many erasers we have, the dark side has a lot more than me. Unfortunately, not good news for the good guys. So, it's a little bit different compared to what we've done in 3rd grade, because we're not just saying basically to repeat the groups, but it's comparing how much I have compared to our stormtrooper here. So if we want to know 4 times as many as 3, we take the number here, that is 3, and repeat it 4 times. So there may be wondering, what if we switch these 2 numbers, which are our factors of a multiplication problem? Well, what if we said, what if we want to figure out 3 times as many as 4? Now, this model, and some people might say, well, isn't 4 times 3 and 3 times 4 the same? So isn't this model good enough? Technically it is not, because the number that we're now starting with in comparison, because we have 3 times as many as 4, so it would be like if I started with 4 erasers rather than 3. So now this bar model is not going to be accurate. So if our stormtrooper now has 3 times as many as 4 erasers as Mr. Lozano, we're going to have to change it to to repeat 4, and we're repeating that 4 3 times. So yes, our product's going to be the same, which is 12. And if we get how many erasers I have, and let's get our Stormtroopers erasers. So he's going to have a group of 4, and we're going to repeat it 3 times, because that's what our comparison statement says. He will have 12. But this time, it's a little bit different, because instead of having 4 groups of 3, he has 3 groups of 4. So this could be a little tricky, because at times you'll be asked to show a bar model. And so we have shown both the example of 4 times as many as 3, or 3 times as many as 4. Of course, it can be a little bit tricky when it gives you a statement and you have to change it to an equation. We actually did this in a small group today. So one thing I'm going to show us is at times you may be asked something like this, or given a statement and you have to change it to an equation and vice versa. So I'm going to write this statement here where we have 28 is 7 times as many as 4. Now, this is a comparison statement, so we have to write this at times as an equation, and sometimes we might have to write it as a bar model. So the key thing here is this word. It's like translating to a different language. This word is a keyword, and something we've gone over in class is when we see that word is, that means equal. And when we see times as many, that's a keyword as well for multiplication. So when we say 28 is 7 times as many as 4, what we're saying is 28 is equal to 7 times 4. Now it can get tricky, right? Well, can't we just, in multiplication, can't we just move the numbers around? Can't we say 7 is 28 times as many as 4? I mean, it's the same. We have the product, right, which is our answer, and we have our 2 factors, 7 and 4. Well, this is what we're saying. When we have that is, that means equal. So when we write it like this, we're actually saying 7 equals 28 times 4. And that's a bit, that might be a good non-example, because at times we may write, we can tell that when we multiply 2 numbers, they should get a lot larger, and 28 times 4 definitely won't equal 7, because we already know one of our factors is already too big, a lot bigger, or a lot greater than our product. So we have to be careful when we write our statements as an equation, because 28 is 7 times as many as 4. This is the correct way, because 28 equals 7 times 4. That can be a correct way. But a common mistake in our classroom is at times we might say something like 7 is 28 times as many as 4, and when we write it like that, oopsie, 7 equals 28 times 4, and we know that's not true, because we've been pretty good with our multiplication facts. However, someone might ask, well, can we write it a different way? Can we switch any of these? Of course. One way we can write it is we can say 28 is 4 times as many as 7, because that is still true, because all we're doing is just switching our factors apart. So from that 7 and 4, we go 4 to 7, and we know that still works, because if we skip count or regroup, that is correct. And if we make a diagram, right, where we do 4 times as many as 7, we can see that if we start with a 7 and do 4 times as many, and we put it all together, these 7s, the 4 7s, will create a 28. So yes, that is a correct statement, and that is a correct way to make the bar model. So there's also another way you can kind of rewrite this. So 28 is 4 times as many as 7. You can also write it as kind of backwards. So you can also say 4 times as many as 7 is 28. Because once again, that word is means it's equal. That's going to be what our product is, right? Because when we multiply two factors or two numbers, we're going to get an answer, or also known as our product. So when you're writing it this way, right, it basically translates as an equation to 4 times as many, so you put your multiplication symbol, as 7 is or equal to 28. You can also write it as 7 times as many as 4 is 28. And because that translates to 7 as an equation, times as many, that's our multiplication symbol, as our second factor 4 is, once again, is means equal, 28. And there you have it. So multiplication comparison, or multiplicative comparison, takes a number we already have, or a factor, such as 4, and it wonders, if we have 7 times as many, or kind of like 7 copies, what will we get, right? So if we copy it 7 times altogether, you will get 28. So it'd be kind of like, as I mentioned earlier in the video, if myself, I'll just put Mr. L, had 4 erasers and my Stormtrooper friend had 7 times as many, I'll put an S for Stormtrooper, he'll end up having 28 erasers, and I'll just have 4 if he has 7 times the amount. So, I hope this video was helpful. It was unscripted. Just wanted to show some of the ways that we've been learning our math in class. Hopefully this could be helpful for homework, and as well something that students can review, or parents, just to kind of see some of the strategies that they've learned in class. But we'll see if this starts any of my YouTube career. But wanted to provide all of you an extra way to access some of our math. So glad to share some of the strategies for Mr. Lozano and our Stormtrooper. Thank you for watching, and we'll see if more videos are on the way regarding some math. Thank you so much. Goodbye.